So as we look around at what's going on with so many of you as the front runners here of this new change of consciousness, and indeed, thank you, Robert, for stepping aside a little bit more and allowing me, Arhandjel Mihajla, to be with all of you in this way. And we love how he trusts that the transition can be very fluid, very natural, and very real. Indeed. It's an honor to be at the forefront of any change in consciousness. And that's how I, as an angelic being, look at each of you. Not everyone is thrown into that position, even though a lot of you feel that you were kind of tossed into this physical reality. Someone pat you on the back and just said, good luck, and if you survive, we'll see you on our side when you're done with it. Some days do feel like that. We get that. But you are here as the front runners of this change. Whether you call yourself Shambra or light workers or Robert, it matters not, but you are deeply honored. As many times as we tell you the significance of what you are doing here in your own individual life is having a profound impact on all of life. And a lot of you, when we share that, just kind of shrug your shoulders and say, yeah, we've heard that before, Michael. But you know, I'm still lacking this and this and this. We'll work with that. That will change. It's beginning to change. We notice the change, not because we're particularly paying much attention to what's going on in your own personal life, but because we see your energy around your own physical body is changing. The rest of it is peripheral stuff. But the energy that you are radiating around your physical body has dramatically shifted. Many of you would say that shift began 30, 40, 50 years ago. Matters not the timing. But certainly in the last 5 to 10 years, it's taken on a quantum shift. And that more and more of you are really understanding what's required to trust. And you're beginning to trust, despite the fears, despite the hesitation, despite the perceived limitations. Because you've noticed that if you don't trust, you're never going to be free. And that's a scary thing to accept. We know you want your freedom. We know the way that you've gotten your freedom in the past was to oppose others that would be, say, trying to deny you that freedom and getting entangled then in the conflict, thinking that if you pushed against those that are playing a role of opposing that freedom, that if you defeat them, that you would finally be free. But even those that have gone to battle, and there have been many battles here on earth, never discovered that freedom the way that you're discovering it now. Your true freedom comes when you allow who you truly are to also be with you as a human being. And I understand that takes a tremendous amount of trust. And so the shifts that we see happening here with the front runners relate to a lot of body issues as well. And we want you to get comfortable with these body issues because they're a part of it. Yes, there is an easier way for that to develop. And it doesn't always have to be a challenge or a struggle or even painful. But if it is, be okay with it. Be okay with it and trust. Trust in yourself that the more you practice consciously loving yourself, you can trust, because you are doing that just for yourself, feeling a sincere, tangible love just for you. You can trust that that will heal and balance everything. It also stirs everything up that's out of balance. But in turn, when it stirs it up and the body is working overtime to help spin it out of the body, you can trust that that love will serve you. And if you haven't gotten quite to this place where you can trust that, then my words of wisdom to each of you is put it to the test. And so once again, we come up to another month on the day in life of a human being. I challenge all of you listening to take the month of October, and if you're listening to this broadcast in some future time, then take the month that's ahead of you and use that 30 days to consciously practice feeling in love with you the way that you have felt in love with nature, the way that you have felt in love with children, the way that you had hoped others would have loved you. Loved yourself like that. And when you get around that resistance you have about doing that for yourself, because for some of you, you still have this energy of living a life of being disempowered to make those that refuse to love you feel responsible for how you're feeling. Are we done with that? Can we get over that? Because your freedom isn't going to come from making others feel guilty for what they did to you, consciously or unconsciously. Get over it. Perhaps, and more than likely, this is not their time in this lifetime to experience what you want to experience. It will only delay your freedom, your experience of freedom, by making others responsible for how you feel. And so we also notice for these front runners, tied into this as we are speaking of it, are all these emotional issues. And so there's a real difference between clean feelings that you create for yourself and emotions that are connected to beliefs, that are connected to experiences from your past. It's your job as a master to consciously participate with these emotions as a sovereign being by not responding to whatever is getting triggered emotionally. Some of you relate to this by saying, but dear Michael, I like feeling life. We're not talking about shutting down your feelings. We're not talking about being more sensitive. This has nothing to do with your sensuality. It has everything to do with these emotions that are connected to your beliefs, connected to your thoughts, that end up ruling your life in denying you your freedom. They're connected to your habits, to your addictions. But you have the ability, when you begin to feel them arise, to take a deep breath and not get caught up in them, not get pulled into them. Take a deep breath and choose how you want to feel. That would be a very good time to feel a deep, sincere, and profound love just for you. Indeed. And so these front runners that we are speaking to here, what's coming and is here this year is the opportunity to actually embody this soul nature that you've been reading about, dreaming about, praying for, yelling to the heavens, bring it on. It's here. But it also asks you to be here, to receive it. So as Robert was so honest to share with you that his way of surviving being with humanity as a young person and as a child was to keep a connection with the angelic realm, because he could trust us in ways that he wasn't finding he could have that same trust with his human family. But what that did for him was have him living his life as a human being with one foot in our reality and one foot in physical reality. And we notice a lot of you use that as a basic survival tool. In a way, when things got too uncomfortable in physical reality, well, you could always place your attention on the other foot that wasn't in physical reality, and things felt a little bit better. You became kind of airy-fairy. You're not really connected to what was going on. Suddenly you're not listening to people that are talking to you. You're not in your physical body. And so to have this relationship with your divinity and for it to become an integrated and safe experience for you, it's time to put both feet in this world and to trust that now as an adult, you have the awareness on how to work with these energies that can be so confusing when you don't have any tools to work with them. And so that's where we see a lot of you now. Is, yes, the energy field around your physical body is beautiful. It is magnificent. And that is but a start. What you have allowed wants now to expand. And for that expansion to become real in physical terms, you need to really, really look at your physical life as something that you truly enjoy. I know that's a little hurdle for some of you to leap over if your current physical life is lacking health, if it's lacking a good job, if it's lacking resources, money. We know that takes a real leap of trust to love the current situation that you're in. But if you're willing to love yourself in the current situation that you're in, if you'll try this for 30 days, you'll notice how all those things that are lacking in your life begin to change. Maybe not as quickly as you would like, or maybe more quickly than you like, but they will change. Let's shift our attention now to the family of humanity. For here, well, what can we say? It's a mess, is it not? But it is what it is. Collectively now, those who are allowing themselves to enter into this awakened state are going through what each of you individually have been going through for the last 30 years. Some of you for the last few years, but it is happening. They begin to look at other places to find support. They might end up finding some of you. And the support that you give them can be related to a group or organization that supports this new consciousness that's not related to the traditional relationship to spirit that is connected to power and control. And let's be honest, there's not many religions on this planet, or any, that don't have some affiliation to power and control. Your divinity doesn't play with power and control. And so it's interesting that so many give lip service to a being that they might call the source of life, and at the same time have an agenda that's very much connected to their own power and control. And so the transition that is happening here is profound, because as each of you let go of your own personal power and control in your own personal life and allow more and more of this divine presence to be in your life just as you are, your radiance impacts the family of humanity in a profound way. Not in a way that is judgmental or condemning, although it can feel that way to others who feel like the things that they could depend on are no longer there. And so the transition is the transition away from power, manipulation, and control into a place of cooperation and partnership. But for that to be real, it takes a group of individuals who are so clear about loving themselves that they don't get swayed by the power and control or manipulated. Indeed, as we look at the family of humanity, one of the first initial responses to feeling that they are feeling disempowered and that their life no longer feels in their control is to feel angry. Now, for a long time, humanity has shut down and just been good followers to whomever wanted to lead them. But that has shifted, and we see the anger beginning to brew. And this is not for any of you who are at the forefront of this change of consciousness to get pulled into, because it's easy to get pulled into that. It's easy to feel like you could serve others if they only knew that there's another way to do this. It's healthy to take responsibility for what you're feeling. It's healthy to actually express the ways that you have allowed others to lead you. And anger can be a healthy expression in the process of eventually coming to not needing to be angry anymore. That's going to take some time. And so in this anger, of course, they're going to look for scapegoats for all the planetary concerns that are all around you. They'll point fingers at those that they believe have caused the problem. And as you notice, even within some of the most traditional institutions, for their own survival, they are speaking on behalf of cooperation and partnership so as not to be the ones that end up getting blamed for what has been. It's interesting. It's very interesting how these changes are unfolding. In a way, we have said to all of you before that the problems that you're experiencing here on earth were not initiated by the human spirit. The human spirit and human consciousness is a byproduct of a galactic history. And there is a profound history there. Earth was created for all beings, no matter what your affiliation to any planetary system or spiritual family or dimension, to find within yourself the freedom to be a sovereign being, so as not to get entangled in what became very entangled for all of creation. When there are opposites battling for the right to life, Earth was created to find resolution to a battle that has no end if there is no cooperation, if there is no mutual respect, if there is no trust. Indeed. And so as you look then at the situation that you have in Europe as it relates to your refugees, this is not to diminish the pain, the anguish, and the suffering that so many are experiencing. But it is also a part of how different spiritual families that you call countries are working out galactic issues that were never resolved in the non-physical realms. Here they become resolved or not. And the way for those conflicts, those unresolved feelings that are historic, and we can't emphasize enough that this goes far beyond the history of this planet. This goes beyond this universe itself. This conflict you're going to see play out. And unfortunately, it's not always going to look very clean or fair. Your work, those of you who have chosen to be at the forefront of this change, you ask of us, how can we be of any assistance or help to those that are in need? And this is going to sound a little cold to some of you, but it also calls on you to step up and do the work that you were asked to do. What parts of you, inside of you, still feel homeless? What parts of you, inside of you, have you built a fence or a wall around? And you have said, I allow these parts in, but not those. When you get really clear about what it means to love yourself, the nature of love, which ends up being the elixir to all of life's perceived problems or conflicts, love ends up welcoming the parts of you that you have not allowed into your own heart space, into your own physical body. But for that to become real, and for that to feel safe for any of you, it's going to ask of you to love yourself so deeply that no matter what steps into your life, what steps in from the inside out and presents itself, You're not overwhelmed by it. You're not frightened of it. It comes to you because it's responding to the elixir that you've created for yourself, playing itself out here in your human experience. Love. And it's really wanting to know whatever energies that might come to you in this relationship from the inside out, it wants to know, am I too welcome? Are you going to allow me to come back? Are you going to open up the walls that are all around you? Push down the fences and allow the parts of yourself that you have denied, that are not evil. They're the parts that you rejected originally from within yourself. And so these parts will eventually want to come back. And if you're not ready to welcome them back because you're just beginning to test this love affair you're having just with you, that's fine. But share that with them. That you're just learning to love yourself. And you look forward to the day when you have developed such a love affair with you that that foundation you've created within yourself is so strong that you fear nothing. Indeed. Let's touch on technology just a little bit. So the ones of you that are concerned about this refugee situation, the radiance that you then share because you're willing to set your boundaries free, that helps to resolve those that don't know where that energy might be coming from, but those that might label refugees as being affiliated with a certain faith or from a certain country and will only allow one or the other into their country. If you're willing to allow different parts of yourself into your own life experience and share a love with those parts within you, you then are sharing a potential, a feeling that others pick up. They don't know where it came from, but suddenly they feel that within them, and they begin to explore their own beliefs, their own fear, their own lack of trust.